doing this study has been an eye-opener for me, an absolute eye-opener, because, you know, when we talk about gifts, usually it's taking one of these tests, and of course, if I'm humble, I get the bottom of the list, and if I'm prideful, I get the best ones. So it's almost a little bit like the gift lottery. You know, like, oh yes, I got the good one. I get to be an apostle or you know, with the prophet or whatever. You know what I mean? And so, the more I've studied it, the more I realize really kind of how unbiblical it is. One of the things is that we say, what are my spiritual gifts? And if there's ignorance there, it's I think a lot is the same thing with the Church of Corinth. It's a cultural thing, you know what I mean? So you have Paul, who lives in the East, and then you have this, it's in the West, okay? So Western thinking and Eastern thinking are two different things. For example, let's say if you lived in China, you're in the Far East, and you have a garden, and there's a tree. What you do is you have, your path goes around the tree. Your house be nestled amongst the trees that are already there. If you live in the West, you get a bulldozer, and down go the trees, in goes the house, and then you'll plant the trees where you want them. You see what I mean? So it's two different mindsets that Paul's dealing with the people in Corinth. They don't understand it, and a lot of it is their culture. It's with their mindset. What helped me a lot is always to follow the word. Take the one word, the word gift or gifts. Now you go 104 times, and then I looked up all the verses that had to do with just that. So why did he call it gifts, spiritual gifts? And it was, bing, an eye-opener to me. It was like a light bulb. And what I realized is one of the things in studying with gifts is when it talked about the Levites. Now, the Levites, obviously, it's a family group that served in the temple. So unless you were born as a Levite, and the family of Levites, you as a male, you couldn't serve. And it says right here, and I have given the Levites as a gift to Aaron, he's the high priest, and to his sons from among the children of Israel to do the service of the children of Israel in the tabernacle. Now that was interesting to me because he said they were a gift to him. And that's what we are, because we're considered a royal priesthood. The only way you can be royal is you got to be born. You got to be born a royal, or you're not a royal. You know, none of this marrying in like we have today, the common. You had to be royal to be royal. And so, because we're born again, we're the royal priesthood. So what we have here is we have the Levites, and they are a gift to them. And that's when I realized that it's not what I do, it's who I am. The gift is who I am. That was a big eye-opener to me. Right there it says, a gift is as a precious stone in the eyes of him that hath it, wheresoever it turneth, it prospereth. This was interesting to me because the value of these stones and jewels that she's wearing are not hers. They belong to the crown jewels, okay? But when she wears them, they represent who she is. So what did Queen Elizabeth do? Well, nothing. It's her presence. It's her presence. It's that she was there. She honored them with her presence. So it's like if you value, these have great value. What God is saying, that's the value he puts on us. So you don't have, what do I have to do to be a gift? Nothing, because you're the gift. You're the gift. Now this is where that, where my hang-ups were, is that I always look at what I do as my worth, not who I am as my worth. Now, if there was somebody else that said to me, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, I say, oh, no, it's you that we want to see. But if it was me, and I would say, well, I'm not doing anything, so what's my worth? You know what I mean? I can't seem to separate the two. And that this study has really helped me with that. For example, when it talks about charity, it's a relationship. So the thing that, of course, the Greeks prized, because that's who he's talking to, a Greek church, was somebody that had great oratory, a speaker, somebody with great knowledge. And it says, it says right here, though I speak with the tongues of men and angels and have not charity, I mean, it's like nothing. It's like an irritating sound. The gift of prophecy, to understand everything and have not charity, it's nothing. And then give your body to be burned, you're a martyr for your cause. He says, it doesn't do anything. So charity, it's that relationship. So here is what you do, and here is what you are. So what is most important to God? What we are. What we are is the most important thing, because it's not what we do, what we do. It's who we are. That is the gift. Now, this is the part that has helped me a lot. Here's the Levites, and they are working here in the temple. They came, they did their monthly, they would come down from their towns, their villages, and they would help a certain time each month of the year as they came as a family group. Anyhow, here they're doing all the utensils for the temple, and then here for the tabernacle, a lot of hard work. But notice it says they were a gift to Aaron and his sons. This is a tremendous amount of work. And it says when they serve, they are given as a gift to the Lord to do service. So this is how this works. This is me. It's just me. Not what I do, but just me. This is a gift. And this is, God said, this is my gift. Oh, Georgia, come here, I'll have you help me. Now you got to walk all the way around. Okay, so Georgia, this is my gift to you. It's me. It's not what I do. It's just me. It's just my presence. Sometimes somebody say, they weren't there for us. So it's not what they do, it's who they are. So my presence, me, the value that God has put on me because I'm a child, this is my gift to you. And that's what God wants me to be. He wants me to be a gift to my brothers and sisters in Christ. Not what I do, just me, my presence. Now, when you had your gallbladder out, your kids were at my house, so now my service, this is where I get things mixed up. I would think my service was to you, but it's not. My service to you, to watch your kids, is to the Lord. You see? My gift, which is my service, is to God. Me, that's my gift to you. What I do for you is helpful, but actually it's my gift to God. You see? So that's where thanks, Georgie. That's where right here, it helps to me, I had to get my head around and separating the two. Because a lot of times, like I would go with my husband to fellowship meetings. And there's mostly preachers and not many women. And so there's nobody to talk to. And I can blend in with the woodwork very easily. It's like, where's Waldo? Where's Susie? I can blend in and nobody ever know I was there. I've even had people say, did you come to the last fellowship meeting with your husband? Yeah, I was here. Of course, he just not noticed. But so sometimes I would go, well, why bother? Because, it doesn't make any difference. It doesn't matter if I'm here or not. But then what I've done is I've totally devalued the gift that God wants me to be. So what I'm saying here is this is worthless when God has made me a gift. You see what I mean? I've devalued him. And when I think that my service goes this way, that's when you can really get burnt and go, ugh, so why am I doing that? I mean, talk about being unappreciated, not loved, not, yeah. But it's different if it's this way. You see what I mean? It's interesting because the Lord told a story of some servants that were before the king on a day of judgment. And he's speaking to them, and he says, I was hungry, you gave me meat. I was thirsty, you gave me drink. I was a stranger, you took me in. Naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came unto me. And the righteous, that's us. It's like, what? You know, Lord, we never saw you hungry, or fed thee, or thirsty, or gave thee drink. Like, when did any of this happen? Was a stranger and took thee in, naked, or clothed thee? When were you in prison? And he said, when you, insomuch as you have done it unto one of the least of my brethren, you've done it unto me. So what God is saying is, when you think I'm doing this for them, I may look at it that way, but that's not the way God sees it. The way God sees it is that my service is to him. So whatever I do, God looks at it as though I have done it for him. It changes it. Because when you look at it this way, it's like, oh, well, good. So my gift is to somebody else. So does that mean I don't have to do anything? Or, well, actually, to be a gift to somebody else, no, you don't. You're just there. But when it comes to doing service, it's really not this way. It's this way, because that's how God sees it. So when Paul is explaining gifts, he tells them, he takes it line by line by line by line, and he's telling it in a way that a Western culture can understand it. In other words, it's very organized. It's line upon line upon line upon line. This is a Western way of thinking. Ta-ta! What does our cities have? What do our neighborhoods have? They're out on a grid. You know what I mean? They lead out on the road. We have the signs. Who would have thought you could have a store that makes not millions, but billions, called the Container Store? It's all for organizing. Look at you, open your refrigerator, and it's all in compartments. Westerners, we love it. You know what I mean? So our mind works in that very organized way. This is the way that he's telling them on a culture that they understand. So he's laying it out, because this, we are all three. It's not separate. So before he names the gifts, he's naming how they come about. So it's 1, 2, and 3. So with this in Corinth, same thing. It's all, nothing's random. It's all laid out on a grid. It's what they understand. They understand that organization, even the organization of the way they are ruled. Because in a city, as in Corinth, you have, it talks about diversities of gifts. That means it's many, 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 but in a very organized fashion. Think of it as you go into Walmart, diversity. Do you want groceries? Do you want dairy? Do you want clothing? Do you want shoes? Do you want hardware? Do you want fans? Do you want paint? Do you want makeup? Do you want medicine? Diversity. You see what I mean? But it's under one roof. So when you say diversity of gifts, they can understand diversity, but yet under one roof, because even in their government, you have what is first an assembly. So that's everybody that's a landowner. So let's say in the city of Athens, that would be 40,000, okay, landowners. So out of the 40,000, they elect 500. That's the Council of 500, and that's like our House of Representatives. We copy their democracy. When it comes to trial and courts, they have, from their own citizens, they pick 30. And that's when somebody's tried. So they understand the organized, the way something runs in a very orderly and organized way. The problem, though, is the assembly is of landowners. That's people with money, people of prestige, people that are educated, people that are up there in society. The lower end of society would never be part of the assembly, nor would they be a part of the council because they would have to be a landowner, and probably unlikely to be on those on the court. That would probably be picked from here too. You see what I mean? So this is where they understand order, but this they did not, is what they had trouble wrapping their head around. Now we'll start with the first one, diversities of gifts. So once again, going back, looking to what it says about gifts. Okay, this verse always bothered me. Always bothered me. It said, if ye then being evil, ooh, that's pretty harsh, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more shall your Father which is in heaven give good things to them that ask him? Now, I thought, why did they say that? Well, I started looking up gifts. Yeah, there's always a motive. You know, they say, oh, they'll give you something, but there's strings attached, okay? So that's how it is. That right here, this is basically a bribe. A wicked man taketh a gift out of the bosom to pervert the ways of judgment. This is for influence. A man's gift maketh room for him and bringeth him before great men. So this is just 2 verses, but there's lots more of people that use gifts to manipulate, to get what they want. And he's saying that a lot of times when we give gifts, there's a kind of a motive in it, you know? And so when the Lord gives gifts, it's for a purpose. Now, we don't genuinely give gifts we give gifts for birthdays, for anniversaries, for celebrations, but I think God gives gifts for many reasons. That's why we have the word diversity, you know? So Dixie, I hate it now that you're in the class because I was going to use, you were the example of, sorry, I make up a name, my daughter Jan, you know, but who teaches at Cole Valley. This is a story of somebody that gave her, was really her kid, the kid was cheating, and Dixie called them in on it, the parents, and they were hateful to her, hateful, and just jerks. And, you know, Dean and I just wanted to call them up, and, you know, one of those, to treat our daughter like that. So he went to the school, and this is what he bought Dixie. And he said, tell her it's from her first boyfriend. I thought that was so sweet. So the thing about it is gifts, what are gifts for sometimes? Gifts are a random way to say, I love you. Gifts are to comfort. Nevertheless, God that comforteth those that are cast down, comforteth us by the coming of Titus. What a gift Titus was. Titus was the gift because they were so discouraged. Diversity of gifts. How many times have you been down and there's been somebody says a kind word, somebody's loving, or something comes, and you go, that was a gift. That was a gift. God gives gifts for different reasons. So we think of gifts as basically something I can do at church, something I can be busy at church, or a talent. But God gives gifts for diversity. Just think of Walmart, the products in Walmart. There's 10,000 products. God gives gifts for all sorts of reasons. This is I'm sure many of you are very know who Elizabeth Elliot is. Her husband, Jim Elliot, was killed in 1956 while attempting to make missionary contact with the people there. And how would you, am I pronouncing it wrong? How would you all pronounce it? No, not Ecuador. Aka, yeah, and eastern Ecuador. And then, anyhow, she later spent 2 years as a missionary to the tribe that killed her husband. After living in South America for many years, she returned to the United States and wrote over 20 books and became widely known as an author and speaker, which all sounds good. Would she have ever written a book if her husband was not killed? Maybe not. They would have still been there as missionaries. You know, sometimes God gives gifts to ease the pain, to ease the sorrow. Sometimes God gives gifts to give somebody a renewed sense of purpose. He gives gifts for all good reasons. Would she have ever written? Now you think, oh, well, she's got a, she just went on and did this. Well, no, she didn't really have such a happy life, because she married again, I think it was 7 years later, and her second husband died of cancer. And then her third husband, which she was married to the longest, for 35 years, 2 weeks after she married him, she said, I made the mistake of my life. He was a jerk, an absolute total jerk. Stuck. But what did God do? The gift to speak. She had a radio broadcast. She wrote other books. What does God do? He gives us gifts. He gives us gifts that we might find purpose, maybe, in a time of sorrow or sadness or situations we can't change. God gives gifts for different reasons. We look at this totally as something that is, okay, so let me see, what is my gift? And then I'll know where to serve. Diversity. There's many, 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 many reasons why God gives us gifts. And it's not on the list. He says, now, this is interesting to me. Excuse me. He said, neglect not the gift that is in thee. Now this verse, it was always in the words that bother me, that I kind of get stuck on, like being stuck in traffic. You think you're going and then you get stuck at another red light. This felt like a red light to me. What does you mean in you? What does that mean in you? Does that mean I could already do this? No. That means that we're all individuals. We all have different homes, we have different circumstances, we have different marriages, we have different kids, we have different jobs. Our life, each one of our lives are uniquely different as our thumbprint. So God gives gifts that is in thee according to my life and what I face, and your life, and your life, and your life. Whatever your life is, that's how he gives you the gifts. It's not a random thing. It's not like, okay, we all have a gift bag, a pencil and a gift card to McDonald's. You know what I mean? It's not like all goes out the same thing. They're unique. So when that is in thee, this is Timothy, this was given uniquely to you from God. God gave you this. Now, the second word that bothers me is neglect. Neglect, it means that, and maybe not purposeful disobedience. Sometimes neglect comes from, oh, I forgot I was supposed to call the doctor today. I was supposed to make a dentist appointment. Or, oh, rats, I was supposed to do this or that. Or sometimes it could be, I really don't want to weed the front garden. Or no, let me put it off. It could be for different reasons that the word neglect is. Because we come to the second one. And the second one, there are differences of administrations. That means work. That's work. It's work. It's work. Administration means, it means bringing it into action. Like, I was looking up the synonyms to it, like paperwork, organized. It would be like if you were going on a trip or a Georgia camp. Okay, here's the paperwork. Fill it out. I need the paperwork. That means they're going, right? Because now you're getting it going. You're getting them registered. Things are moving along. That's what administration means. It means God has given you a gift, and it's unique to every one of you, so it's different to every one of you. Now, what do you do with it? That's where we come to administration. That's where we come to administration. Now, sometimes we think of this as starting a ministry. You know what I mean? Like we start a ministry. Okay, everybody, look up here. I've started this ministry, and now we're doing saving the cats of Cuna, I don't know. Or I've come up with an idea, and now I've got the people that are following me. Or yes, we have this cause that we're all fighting. Most, I would say the majority of all gifts, maybe close to 100%, are one-on-one. One-on-one. It's not a group thing. It's not a ministry thing. It's just one with one with one. That's how gifts are given. I mean, how do we give gifts? Somebody doesn't come in just, okay, I wouldn't mind. I would like that every time I walked in. But usually gifts are given to one, and it's very unique. It can be a word of encouragement. It's something that you do for somebody. Those are our gifts. We see somebody that's super talented, and we say, oh my goodness, they're so gifted, they use their gifts. Okay, but actually, this is the majority of gifts is right here, just with one. And sometimes it can be a gift that is, I don't know, what would you call it? I'm trying to think of a word where you watch somebody and you get a blessing out of that, but it didn't happen directly to you. What would be the word for that? Vicariously. Be what? Vicariously? That would be a good word. Because I think of Miss Balls, she was a pastor's wife in Jessup. She never taught me. I mean, I wasn't in a class, she didn't have a ladies' class. I just watched her. I wasn't the recipient of a lot of the things she did. I just watched her. And I saw somebody that used their gifts for God. And she had a huge influence on me. Everything I wanted to learn about being a pastor's wife, I found from Lydia Balls. I tell this story, but I get choked up when I tell it. I hate it when I do that. But I got all choked up trying to tell her how much I loved her. And she went, praise the Lord, praise the Lord. And I thought, she can't take a compliment. She just, she would deflect. She would quickly deflect. But she had no idea. Do you know when you use your gift, you have no idea. You think, okay, it's this one person. You have no idea which way that influence goes. How many people are moved by it? I thought about Nathan's testimony on when he was saying how much that Cindy Sharp meant to him because she was using her talents for the Lord. And Cindy told me afterwards on Sunday, she said she was floored. She was like, really? Like, wow, she didn't think that anybody would notice or, care. But you never know. You never know. It's not just, we never know that when we use our gifts that God has given us, and they're individual, how much that affects somebody on the sidelines who's watching. Now we come to the third one. Okay? So we have diversity. So that means many, 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 many. Because each of you are individuals. Each of you have individual lives. Each one of you have individual needs. So God gives you a gift, you a gift, you a gift all the time because He loves you according to what you need. Then you have difference of administrations. That means basically using your gift to be a blessing to somebody else. I don't know what it would be. The thing about is that a lot of times it's what's affected your life. Sometimes, it's interesting. Dixie and I were talking, and about why that I like teaching so much, and she brought something interesting out. My mom, there was 10 of us kids. And my mom liked to talk, but she didn't need you to respond, or she didn't need a two-way conversation. She would do all the talking. And then when she was finished, she was finished. and you can go. But you kind of grew up realizing that what I have to say isn't important, or it's maybe not worth listening to, you know? And it's a sort of a subtle message, you know? And so, of course, all the inferiority quirks. And I think when I taught, I have to research, I have to know what I'm talking about. You know, it's not just getting up and just blah, blah, blah. But it's like, well, I do have something worth saying. Somebody listens. I do have something worth saying. So you see, that gift that God gave me means more to me because of my background. You see, it's not just teaching. It's like God gave it to me, I think, for my, maybe that part that was lacking in me when I grew up. You know what I mean? And that's what God does for you. The areas that you lack, that maybe you have no self-confidence or this or that, those sometimes are the things that God gives you as a gift. You see? For different reasons. Now, we've come to the third one, the administrations, and of course that is work. To use your gift, you have to use it, or it means nothing. It stops literally right here. Now this goes then, diversities of operations. Now, operations now includes other people, okay? Think of it this way. If you were getting on a ship, on a cruise ship, okay? These people are getting on a cruise ship. They're all different. There are different walks of life. They have different amounts of financial status. They different tiers, first class, second class, and all. But they're all going on a ship on one direction, okay? Now, this is the diversities of operation. These are the people that make it work. So if you get on the ship and there's no captain, there's no stewards, there's nothing, you might as well get off the ship because you're sitting on the dock. You're not going anyplace and you're not eating, you know? So yeah, you might as well just go ahead and leave. So diversities of operation are those that make it work. So the thing about it is they need them or they have no salary. Nobody's working. And they need them or they're not going anyplace. See what I mean? We need each other. And I thought when we had our Vision Sunday, and once again Nathan, see I was listening, when he was saying about how badly we need each other, we do need each other. We need each other. I was in Georgia and I asked a brother there, I said, where's your wife? I haven't seen her at any of the services. He said, oh, she doesn't want to come anymore. She says she gets as much going to the beach as she would going to church. And I thought, that's sad. We're being deprived of her presence, which would have been a gift, but also she doesn't realize we need her and she needs us. We need each other. Even if you feel like, well, I'm not doing anything, we need each other. We need each other. This is why when Paul was teaching about gifts, he said this. He said, the eye can't say to the hand, oh, I don't need you. Or the head to the feet, I have no need of you. I don't need you. I don't need this. I don't need this. I don't need to be at church. I don't need to be with other Christians. I don't need to be with other believers. Yes, you do. We need each other. Flesh and blood, we need each other. We need each other. The thing about it is, it says right here, nay, the members of the body which seem more feeble are necessary. The things that we don't see, that keeps us alive. You know, you don't see the guts, the heart, the liver, and all those things. None of those things are seen, but they're needed. We need each other. And the thing about it is we go back to the cruise ship, you don't see these. Nobody goes up to the deck and sees them. Just because you think, oh, well, I don't know everybody here, or I don't fit in, or this and that. No, we need each other. We're one body. We really do need each other. Just our presence, we need each other. Now, the thing about it is that a lot what is done in our body, because that's what Paul compared it to, is totally unseen. So if I were to say the jobs I do at church, and I wrote them down at the house. I wrote down everything I do at church. And then I discovered something quite interesting. 95 or higher percent of the time, nobody sees what I do. Yeah, nobody sees what I do. And they just don't. Georgia, I know the jobs Georgia has, but I don't think anybody knows what Georgia does. She does a lot, but nobody sees it. But we still need Georgia, need me. We need everybody. You know what I mean? And that's the thing about it is what he's trying to teach the church of Corinth. It's like if I can't be seen with my gift, then why am I even bothering? And no, gifts, they're not seen a lot of times. Nobody knows it. It's on the quiet. It's with one person. It's using those things that God gives us. Now, we come to the last one. Well, not almost the last one. You say, well, what about these 27 gifts that it names? Okay, why would it name these? Well, these are basically, for the first three, these are the toolbox. It's like me saying, here, I want you to build a house. With what? Money. I should have put money up there. Money, money, money. Okay, I need the money. You have to have the house plans. You got to be able to get the lumber. You have to have the tools. There's a lot of things you have to have. Okay? The gifts that are right here, that's tool chest. That's the lumber. That's the blueprint. These gifts are available to all of us to be able to have the administration and operation of our gifts. You see what I mean? So it's not like one person has this and then, it's like, okay, let me see, which one do I have? Well, I'm looking out of all of them. Okay, I'll take helps. Does the bathroom need to be clean? Somebody else has won the lotto and they got the big ones and I got this one. I'm stuck with this one. Nope, they're available, all of them. That's the toolkit that we have, that God has given us to be able to use our gifts. And that's going to be, with our next ladies meeting, I'll be explaining that. Okay? So, thanks, Georgie. See, isn't it